Hi everyone, my name is Jackie and welcome to my channel, Books, Board Games, and Ball Gowns. Today I'm doing a book review of The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. So I'm going to do a little synopsis of it, kind of go over my likes, dislikes, but I will let you know when to turn the video off if you do not want spoilers. So the story opens with Natasha, who is an undocumented immigrant, and her family are about to be deported. Like, they're literally getting deported that night. And so Natasha is trying to do whatever she can to stop that from happening. Daniel is the child of Korean immigrants who is torn between doing what he wants and what his parents want of him. Throughout a series of circumstances, they end up crossing paths. They end up in this whirlwind relationship that spans less than a day. One thing that I really liked about this book was that it's mostly written from the perspectives of Natasha and Daniel. However, there are other chapters within it that are points of views of some background supporting characters, like some of their family members, for instance. There are also chapters that cover various topics that just lend a little bit more insight without detracting from the story at all. When I first saw those chapters where it wasn't from Natasha or Daniel's perspective, I wasn't sure that I was going to like that, but by the time I finished that first chapter from outside their perspective, I was sold. And I knew that these were going to be helpful additions, and in my opinion, they in no way detract from the story at all. So I really, really liked that. I won't go into details, but I love how those little chapters from other characters' points of views show how much one person can affect someone else. All around, I honestly gave this book 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If I had to dock it for anything, it would be the insta-love, which would maybe, in this case, bring it down to a 4.5. I thought I would really dislike the insta-love thing, because like I said, it does take place in a day. And normally insta-love does bother the daylights out of me, but for some reason it didn't bother me in this book. So that's why I gave it 5 stars, was that I thought that Nicola Yoon wrote a very, very well written insta-love, which is really hard to do. If you have not read the book, I highly, highly recommend that you go pick it up and read it, because this is a phenomenal contemporary novel. I mean, it's not a very big book. I finished this book in about the amount of time that Natasha and Daniel spent together. So at this point, I'm going to begin talking about the spoilery parts of the book, so if you don't want to be spoiled, please go read the book, come back, and then let me know your thoughts down below on what you thought of the book. Okay, on to the spoilery parts. Can we talk about Irene, the security guard? Please, can we please talk about her? Because we get a couple of chapters about Irene, and I was so invested in this secondary character. You know, we read the chapter where she decides that, okay, tonight I'm going to finally end my life. And that broke my heart. We had all 2 chapters with this woman so far, and that broke my heart. And then later in the book, when Natasha decides that she's gonna call back the worker who referred her to the attorney, and she decides to leave a message to please also thank the security guard. Her name is Irene. And the first thought that went through my head was, I hope Irene gets this message in time. And then the last chapter, I was so nervous. I was so nervous that it was going to be too late for Irene. And then I turned to the last chapter and I see that it is from Irene's perspective. And I was just so relieved and so happy, because I had become so invested in this character, and to hear that Natasha's thank you saved her life. It showed that what you do does affect those around you, even if you don't think it does. and so we should all try to be a little nicer. Especially, you know, it's the new year, so maybe that's a resolution that everyone can make of, I will say hi to more people, I will smile more, I will care about others, you know, I don't know, stuff like that. And now I'm being all mushy and everything, but I loved that, and I was incredibly invested in Irene, who we only got a few chapters about. Like I said earlier, normally I really don't like insta-love, but I was really okay with it for this story, and I don't know why. I don't know if it was just the way that it was written. I mean, they're a couple of 17-year-olds who fall in love in the span of like 12 hours or something like that. I should have disliked the insta-love, and yet I didn't, because, yeah, every once in a while, the really cheesy and romantic insta-love is okay if it's written well, and this really, really was. I also love that there wasn't a last-minute saving of Natasha and her family, that they did still get deported, and they had to go back to Jamaica. And then, years later, on the plane that Irene is now a flight attendant for, Natasha and Daniel are on the same flight. Which, is that realistic? No, but it was just so cute, and I love that in the last scene Natasha's afro had the pink tips like her and Daniel had talked about. So even though they ended up kind of losing contact with each other, that always kind of stuck with her, and she ended up actually doing that to her hair. I just think that was really cool. I love that Natasha knew what she wanted, and she had this very set plan of, I'm going to become a data scientist, and this is the path that I want, but I can't have it because of deportation. Whereas Daniel had no clue what he wanted. His parents wanted him to become a doctor and go to Yale, aka second best school, according to his parents. But he doesn't really know what he wants. You know, he enjoys writing poems, but he knows that that's not a realistic career path. And I felt it was really obvious that Natasha was trying to push Daniel away, not only because of the fact that she was getting deported that night, but also because he was a dreamer, and that probably reminded her a lot of her father, who was a dreamer, and, you know, moved them all to America so that he could try and become an actor. Going back to how your actions affect those around you, the lawyer and his decision to spend the afternoon with his paralegal in a hotel room instead of going to see the judge that could reverse Natasha's deportation is huge. And I hate the lawyer. I hate the lawyer. He sucks. You know, it's things like that, like, you know, he realized that day too who he wanted to spend the rest of his life with, despite the fact that he was married, and in deciding that, hey, I'm going to be with this person now, and I apparently need to be with them at this exact moment, and I can't control myself, I'm going to ruin someone's chances at staying in the United States. Which was insane, and also a really great plot piece to me. And the fact that the deportation attorney and the person that Daniel had to interview with for Yale were the same person was a little unrealistic, but whatever. Yeah, there were one or two too many coincidences in this book, but it was still a really cute story. I'm sorry if I kind of rambled, but I tried to write down my thoughts before I do a book talk. I know I've only done one other one, but I had such a hard time putting my thoughts on paper for this, so word vomit, just whatever, go with it. But like I said, this book was phenomenal. I rated it 5 stars on Goodreads. It was just such a sweet, cheesy love story. I'm really looking forward to reading Nicola Yoon's other book, Everything Everything. Also, if you didn't see in my December haul video, I did get a signed copy of this book from my local Books A Million, which was awesome. Check it out. Nicola Yoon's autograph. Woohoo! I think that about wraps it up. I'll be back soon with a new video. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch, and I appreciate all of you so much. And until next time, bye! That moment when your nails match your shirt. I swear I didn't do that on purpose.